ECU?
R.
Do you bleed purple and gold?
Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Watch the show live on Facebook
and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
All right, welcome in. It is Hoist the Colors. It is Tuesday, August 12th. We are live on YouTube and Twitter as well as Facebook. And if you have a question, a comment, concern, as always, drop it there. And we'll get to it over the course of the next hour. Philip, I think check us on Facebook. We may not be live just yet. Philip Hilton producing today. And as always, you can download the IBX Media app where you can check out our show. You can also check out the Patrick Johnson show where he interviewed head coach Blake Harrell yesterday right after the Pirates had their Monday practice. So check out that interview with Coach Harrell. Also, Talk of the Town you can check out on the IBX Media app. And podcast, Apple Podcasts, you can hear our show, the replay, as well as Spotify on those channels. The Hoist the Colors, 94.3 The Game channels. Check us out there as well. We are now live on YouTube as well, so well done, Philip. Philip Pilkington is our producer, as he often is for the show, like 99% of the time, unless he's going to a wedding. Don't you have another wedding to go to this fall for a football game?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to miss the Coastal game, because of a wedding.
Well, you're at that age where your friends are getting married, and it's just part of it. We've all been there.
I need to get to the part where I'm having my own wedding, so that's the issue. Is I keep going to other people's weddings. Always a groomsman, never a groom kind of thing. So always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
Hey, enjoy it while you can.
True.
And then, you can maybe meet your future wife at one of these weddings. You never know.
Yeah.
So you got to keep your head on a swivel at these things. So couple things at the top of the show. So I think I said yesterday we were going to have Kim McNeil, ECU women's basketball coach, on today. That was my mistake. I wrote it down wrong. We're going to have her on tomorrow. So looking forward to catching up with ECU women's basketball coach Kim McNeil. That means we're going to start our conference previews a day early, as in today. We're going to preview the American Conference, not the American Athletic Conference, but the American Conference. We'll talk about Soar the Eagle. Is he our favorite conference mascot? Well, he's the only one, so he has to be. And we'll talk about can ECU, are they a legitimate contender for the American Conference title? We'll get into that discussion. We'll also make our league preview and predictions. We've got several categories we're going to pick from, including our last place finisher, our best conference game to look out for, our dark horse title contender, conference MVP, championship game, and our champion. So we're going to do this for every FBS conference over the course of the next week and a half, maybe a little longer, definitely leading into week 0. So excited about that. We'll have that discussion here shortly. We also just left the ECU practice fields this morning. We caught up with head coach Blake Harrell after practice for the latest there. We also talked with ECU offensive coordinator John David Baker. So we've now talked to both coordinators the last few days. Also in an ECU Sports Network exclusive, also talked cornerbacks with Teron Williams. So keep an eye out for that on the ECU Sports Network social channels in the coming days. So it is an interesting vibe at practice. So Luke Mullett, the new general manager for ECU football, he's kind of implemented this PA system at practice, Philip, and usually he's on the mic. If you're walking by the practice field, if you're walking by campus, you can hear him, especially the athletics campus, basically anytime they're practicing because it's pretty loud. And, the practice fields are pretty spread out. There's, 3-4 practice fields, so the PA system's pretty loud. But now Blake Harrell will grab the mic in the middle of practice and start, I don't want to say shouting instructions, but giving instructions over the loud PA system, which is pretty comical, but also insightful at times because you can hear him asking for more effort or asking for certain things X's and O's wise. I don't know. I kind of like it almost adds to the urgency out on the practice field. I kind of enjoy it.
Yeah, I do too. I think adding to the urgency is a great way to put it because if you're slacking off, sounds like everybody's going to know. Everybody in all of Greenville might know that you're slacking off. And also, I think it's a way to keep guys on schedule. They've got multiple periods maybe where they are still in the same grouping. For example, when we're there, they're doing Indy. right? There's not just one period at Indy. There's multiple periods at Indy, but a lot of the coaches will change up what they do from period 1 to period 2. And I think the fact there's someone on the mic saying, okay, now it's, period 3 of Indy, it's keeping the, position coaches a little more on schedule with their guys. It's just keeping everybody on schedule as a whole when you have someone, emphasizing, hey, we're going from, this period to that one. And like you said, it kind of brings the energy. I know there's something about somebody screaming into a microphone that kind of gets you amped up a little bit sometimes.
And not to name any names, but as I was walking up for the press conference, you may have already been inside, Philip, for our post-practice presser. There was a defensive back who Blake was imploring to get off the field because he didn't do something right. And so I just, like you said, if you mess up, we're going to know about it. And I'm not going to embarrass the young man because he's out there, for the most part, giving it his all. But it is one of those things where I just think it's insightful. It's interesting and a change from past years. And Blake even said after practice that if the practice field was a little more secluded to where we couldn't hear what was going on, he'd be yelling even more stuff. So I thought that was pretty hilarious. Anything you took away from our meeting with JDB or Blake, our post-practice presser?
Yeah, I think they were very honest about how this week's going. And, when you get into week 3 of camp, it's a grind. You're a little more fatigued. And I think not only physically, but you're fatigued mentally. And they, talked about how yesterday maybe wasn't the best practice, and they had to go out there and challenge these young men to bring the energy today. And I thought the energy was there. We were obviously only there the first 20 minutes, but it just seemed like the intensity was up. And then even, walking in to the press conference, we do get to, look over our shoulder and catch that glimpse of the end of practice. And it did seem a little better than it did yesterday. Everybody just kind of seemed a little more dialed in, a little more alert. So, it's tough, but it's going to be tough come week 8, week 9, week 10 in the season too, and you got to stay locked in both physically and mentally if you want to go out there and be successful and accomplish the goals that you have set for yourself to accomplish.
And we talked about it as we were leaving the practice field, but you really can feel the urgency right now. It's something I'm going to write about today on Hoist the Colors, but you can feel it. And JDB kind of said afterwards, once you get through that first scrimmage, it's one of those things where it just picks up naturally. Like there's a 1 in front of the number of days now before you kick off the season versus NC State. And I specifically feel that urgency on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, I think not that JDB and his offense don't have urgency, but I can just feel it. Roy Tesh obviously brings the energy with the defensive line every day, as do his assistants. But today it was like specifically with tackling and angles and physicality, like all that is being pushed right now because they know they have to get better, man. You're not opening with Norfolk State this year, Philip. It is NC State, and we'll get more into this discussion as we get closer to August 28th. But you really can't afford a bad day because I think NC State, I don't know how good they are, but I think ECU is going to get the best version possible or close to it of NC State for the season opener. And ECU has got to make sure they're at that level, or else you're going to have a situation where you may not look very good come August 28th.
Yeah, I don't think you can afford a bad quarter. I mean, look, is every drive going to go your way? No. So I hate to say you can't afford a bad drive, but you can't stack multiple bad drives up against each other. You're going to lose this football game. I mean, like you said, they know. I mean, we talked about on the show yesterday when he said what he wanted to do to East Carolina, that was his way of lighting a fire under the rear end of his team. And they know. They know that their coach is on the hot seat. They know that they will be, there's going to be all the pitchforks and the torches waiting outside the locker room if they lose this football game from the pack loyalty. So, yeah, they're going to bring it. And, like I said, is I think the difference with our team right now, offense, defense, is the reason why we're seeing a little more of the defense because from what we've understood, the offense won the first scrimmage. And so they view themselves as behind the guys they're lining up against right now. I thought in the spring the offense looked a little better, but you got a little more continuity on the offense, right? You got a returning starting quarterback, you got returning tailbacks, receivers, all those things. So a lot of turnover on the defense, a lot of mature guys, but a lot of guys maybe don't have a lot of FBS snaps under their belt, and they know that, and they know they've got to bring it.
All right, so tune in. You can check out the interviews with Blake Carroll, John David Baker here shortly up on 94.3 The Game YouTube, as well as the Hoist the Colors YouTube page. So we'll have those interviews up for you. Let's get a break in. When we come back, we'll shift our focus to the American Conference as a whole, and specifically East Carolina's chances at winning it. Are the Pirates, are they a dark horse title contender? Why do I have trouble saying that word? A dark horse. Dark horse title contender. I would classify them in that role. There's a few clear favorites for the league championship as well. Some star players coming back. We'll get into that whole discussion. We'll also make our picks on conference champion later in the show as well. So that'll be up next. This is Hoist the Colors on a Tuesday.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout Eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arrgh!
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Allen, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
The Pirates play here.
Time to play the game!
This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors, our second segment here. Philip Hilkinen producing. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. The comment section, as always, are open. If you got something to say, we're going to do our American Conference preview here in a minute. We'll get into that. I do want to mention we are running a 50% off special right now on hoistthecolors.net. Before the show, I was working on my VIP camp practice report. I'll have that up shortly after the show, early this afternoon. You can get all that coverage along with all of our recruiting coverage, all of our Insight VIP reporting for 50% off. And if you want to see what it's like, stay tuned. Later this month, we are going to have what's called a Fan Appreciation Day across 24/7 Sports Online, and have the opportunity for, even if you're a free member, you can join on the site for 1 day for free and check out all of our VIP content for free, just to get an inside look at what it's like to be a fan of or a member on Fan Appreciation Day. So looking forward to that. Stay tuned for that coming up later in August. All right. Matthew is in the chat. He wants to know, where is the tailgate for the state game? So, Matthew, are you talking about our tailgate? We are going to do a pregame show 3 hours prior to kick. So unless you're going to join us in the NC State Carter Finley press box, may be kind of difficult for us to tailgate. I'm sure the Pirate Club is doing some sort of special tailgate. I'll try to get the location on that. The real question is, Philip, we're not going to be able to partake in the pirate beverages part of tailgating, but are we going to get to Carter Finley early enough to just at least walk around, take in the atmosphere? Because I feel like it's going to be pretty special. The only thing that may subdue it a little bit is it's a Thursday. But still, I mean, it's a Thursday in August, so I feel like it's still going to be popping. It's the season opener.
I mean, I'm good too. I say we leave right after Hoist the Colors. We can leave at 1.
Yeah.
Get there about 2:30 or 3. Because I don't know what time kickoff is. What time's kickoff?
7:30, I believe.
So we'll go on air at 4:30. So yeah, honestly, we'll probably have to leave here right after anyways to make sure we get down there and get settled, get set up, get connected with the guys back in the studio. So we'll probably have time to walk around after we pick up our media passes for 25, 30 minutes. Say hello to some fans. And
it is
head
a
up to the
7 o'clock kickoff.
Oh,
Sorry
7.
to cut you off, but it's 7.
Okay,
That feels extremely early.
It does. Hey, South Florida and Boise are playing at like 5 or 5:30 that same day. So at least we're not them. So yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll probably have to leave here. Actually, leave right from the station at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go straight there, which is fine. It's gonna be a long day regardless.
Yeah.
So just glad it's drivable. It's weird to have these drivable road games with the American Conference. I'm so used to having to fly everywhere. But it'll be good to drive to Raleigh for that non-conference game. Speaking of the American Conference, let's take a look at the league. And I don't know if it's because I attended Media Day and I got those American Conference vibes. I don't know if it's SOAR, the Eagle, the rebranding, but I'm kind of all in. Does that make sense? I'm kind of all in.
No, I know what you mean. It was like, you know why? It's because Commissioner Pernetti's a heck of a politician, deal, man. He knows how to like get everybody on board. He had me sold there. So no, I'm with you. I'm more in than I normally would be. I don't know if kind of all in. I think it's a little bit of an oxymoron there, bud. But yeah,
more in is probably the better way to put it. And I'm intrigued by this conference. We'll talk specifically about ECU's chances in a minute, but like, I feel like it's pretty wide open. And Tulane is getting a lot of love, which I understand. Like, John Summerall has a heck of a background. But he also, I mean, Tulane was pretty – they did not finish last season very strong. And granted, this is a much different team now. But, yeah, they made the conference title game. They also lost 3 straight to end the season. Now, they did so against Memphis, Army, and Florida, so it's not like they were playing chopped liver. But after beating Navy 35-0 on the road, which is a crazy score in itself, they lost at home to Memphis by 10. Didn't really show up that well against Army in the conference championship, lost by 21, and then really got spanked by a Florida team that had some opt-outs, 33-8 in the bowl game. So I do wonder, does the just okay finish to the season, obviously downward trend, does that carry over into 2025? But they are, I say that because they are the favorite on paper going into the season. DraftKings has them at plus 300 to win the American. That is followed by Navy at plus 380. They've got Blake Horvath back at quarterback. UTSA is plus 450, according to DraftKings. Memphis plus 550. Army, the defending champion, plus 650. South Florida plus 700. Then you have North Texas ahead of ECU at plus 1,200. ECU all the way in 8th with the odds on DraftKings plus 1,800. And then it drops off to a significant plus 15,000 for UAB, Tulsa, Rice, and FAU, along with Charlotte. And then Temple, plus 20,000. So those are your conference championship odds. And I share that with the intent of asking, does ECU have a chance to win this league? And basically, if you look at it from an odds standpoint, Philip, ECU is in the middle tier, but they are in like the reasonable tier of, yeah, they can do it. Plus 1,800, obviously you're getting some good value there, but it's not like plus 15,000. Those teams, Vegas is saying, almost have no shot to win. So I'm saying ECU has a shot. It's just a lot has to go right.
Got to beat Army. I think you lose to Army, you're out.
Right away.
Yeah. Just because it's not like divisions, like how it used to be where you're comparing yourself. And it's not like everybody's schedule's created equal.
That is the other. It's tough to really compare this stuff with imbalanced schedules.
Scheduling, yeah. It's just, I'm not saying they don't beat Tulane at Tulane, but I'm almost like that's the game on the entirety of the schedule. all 12 games that I feel the worst about winning.
I agree with you.
So you're behind the 8 ball there. Look, I think Memphis at home, I feel decent about. I mean, that vibe's going to change many times between now and then because it's so late in the season. But I just think if you get that far behind the 8 ball, losing the first game to a team that's, I know it's a weird team, but in the conference preseason poll, which what the hell does that mean? But they're right there next to you. They're coming to your place. Yeah, it's a short week. Yeah, it's Army. There's so many factors that don't play your way, but just the way it sets you up the rest of this conference schedule, you're really behind the 8 ball. And then, you drop that, and then you drop to Tulane, a week or two later, you're really behind. And there's just no guarantee at 6-2 that you get in the conference championship game. I mean, you could, but
with the imbalanced schedule,
Yeah.
I feel like 6-2 is very tough to overcome.
Yeah.
Because you're
Hell,
probably going to have some.
you could have
couple
2 teams at
one-loss
7-1 and one team
Yeah.
at 8-0. So
is true.
7-1 doesn't guarantee you anything.
And a lot of this, I do like your take there, and I've obviously realized that ECU has a tough start to the schedule, with that being a tough start to the conference schedule, and it is like you almost have to 100% come out of that stretch at least 1-1.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you somehow come out 2-0, you probably turn into the favorite of the league, because then you have Tulsa, Temple, Charlotte. And
the only team left on your schedule that you should be in a remote dogfight with out of there is Memphis. If you start 2-0, if you really are,
at UTSA will be
yeah,
tricky.
that's true. I forgot about that.
That we'll get into that, but they have not lost a home game since the beginning of the 2023 season. So I feel like it could be a worse conference schedule, but it also is pretty tough because Army on a short week after BYU, I mean, that's brutal. We will see what Army's quarterback situation is like. Bryson Daly. It may not be a bad thing that you're getting them early, honestly.
Yeah.
I think the option team, with a new quarterback, you'd rather face them early than later in the season because they're going to be, are they clicking on all cylinders yet? Tulane, Thursday night, it's going to be tough. Not that Tulane has some raucous atmosphere, but it's at Tulane. It's a national TV game. They'll be up for that. And then that Memphis UTSA stretch is difficult. And then at FAU is kind of sneaky as well after Thanksgiving. FAU could be a team to watch. So is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? I would say no based on the odds. But I do think there is a path for ECU to get it done. It's just you definitely have to start at least 1-1, and then, I mean,
Win out.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, win out really to guarantee it. And then, or at worst, let's say you go 6-2 with your losses to Tulane and UTSA, but you get the head-to-head over Memphis, and then maybe UTSA loses 3 games or something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a possibility, but it will be tough. Let's check some of the comments here, and we've got a lot of them. Chuck says, what's up, guys? I think ECU finishes 3rd, Navy, and Tulane to battle it out for the championship. Rich says he attended American Media Day as a fan. They did a nice job, enjoyed having it in Charlotte. Did you think they got a boost from being next door to the ACC Media Day or not really? We'll address this quickly, but I don't really feel like maybe they got a boost, but there was no real national media people there. Did you notice any boost from that?
No, I mean, there was a few people there I did not recognize. I think the only people that maybe it would have boosted was some Charlotte media people that would have not traveled outside of Charlotte for American Conference Media Day, but had the ACC been somewhere else, they would have gone to the ACC and then never shown up to the American kind of thing. So say they put the ACC in Atlanta, it's not like they would have hurried back to come to the American, but because they were there, I did see some Charlotte guys that just hopped over on Friday kind of thing. So a smidge, but when I say boost, we're talking you can count them on one hand. Yeah. So take that for what it's worth.
Cameron says he thinks Navy may only lose 1 game all year. Johnny Roberts says Tulane and ECU will play the exact same conference opponent. So interesting that they both got the same draw there. Rich says glad we do not play Navy in the regular season. Yes, ECU will finally not play Navy, and they won't. That means they won't have to play them off a bye either. So that's a positive.
Yeah.
Matthew adding that the line is moving for the NC State game down to 12.5 points. So that's significant there. And Cameron adds, it would be the most ECU thing ever to start 1-4 and then go beat Army and Tulane. would it be 1-3?
Yeah, start 1-3.
I mean, hey, if you do that, you've got an inside path to a conference championship. So, I mean, I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah.
Chuck adds schedule makers hurt us. Lack of Saturday games and last 2 games away. And Johnny adding, last season, the AAC games were decided by an average of 21.1 points per game, and only 10 of the 57 games, including the championship, were decided by 7 points or less. Hopefully that will tighten up a bit. What a great stat.
That's a Johnny stat right there.
I'm honestly pretty shocked at that because, like, I look at this league and I feel like it should be more balanced than it is. And I think it will be this year. We'll get into that in our next segment a little bit. But, yeah, appreciate everybody's comments. Keep them rolling in. It's just
the schedule wasn't balanced last year.
Yeah.
Memphis played everybody else who was supposed to be good, and nobody else who was supposed to be good played each other at all. They all played Rice, Temple, like, etc.
Tulsa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with these mega conferences and even the American going to 14. Like, it creates such an imbalance. And, I mean, I think if ECU had an easier conference schedule on paper, the odds would go way up because the one big plus for ECU is this. If you look at the returning quarterbacks in the American, like, you can make an argument that Caton Hauser is 1 or 2. Now, I know that Blake Horvath and Owen McCown are going to get most of the pub, and that's fine. But, like, after watching Owen McCown in person last year and watching Caton Hauser in person, I would rather have Caton Hauser. Now, I saw a much smaller sample size of Owen McCown, but, like, in that game, he did not impress me. ECU hit him around. You also have Jalen Kittner returning for UAB, who closed the season strong, but still a little erratic. And then you've got Evan Simon and Kirk Francis at Temple and Tulsa, respectively, but new offensive systems there. So, like, what's the most important position you want? Returning, proven, quarterback. ECU has a check there, and I think that's, for whatever reason, I feel like that's kind of being overlooked by the media. Like, nobody's mentioning Caton Hauser as, like, the next great American quarterback. I don't really know why.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think, when you look at that list, Horvath is going to get his publicity because he's at a service academy, and they exceeded expectations last year. Then McCown, well, look at his last name. That helps, right? But to your point with not being impressed with McCown and Jeff Traylor coach teams have been different at home and on the road. Owen McCown inside that dome, I'm pretty darn scared. Owen McCown on the road, hit him a couple times early, knock him around, you're feeling pretty good. So, I don't know, man. Coach Traylor's just got to find a way to get that consistency back, that consistency they had a couple years, 3 years ago, I think, when they won 11 games or whatever it was. And I think he will. But, I think those are the big 2 reasons you're not hearing about Caton Hauser right now. And also, I think maybe it was because there was a QB competition last year here. And he wasn't the starter the whole year. Yeah, he was started the back half of the year. Yeah, he was starting the bowl game. He was started for most of the wins. But, are people saying, hey, this kid's not that much better than Jake Garcia, and Garcia didn't live up quite to expectations last year. So maybe that's it. I don't know.
I feel like the media, and I said this on my board the other day, like, I feel like the media, when they're doing these conference previews, and I try not to fall into this trap, but I do as well. Like, we're kind of lazy. We don't really have time to dive into every detail of every team. There's a lot of FBS teams. Like, I listened to all these college football previews over the summer. I told myself I was going to dive more into college football as a whole. There's just so many teams and conferences, man. Like, I feel like at times the media is lazy, and all they do is look at, all right, who are the top passers in the conference last year, and just go by the stats, or who are the top teams, who's their quarterback. And Caton Hauser, if you look at the raw stats, he only started, 7 games? So, like, he's not at the top. So they're just, like, overlooking him for some reason. Although if you go back and you extrapolate what he did over those 6-7 games over full season, he'd be right up there near the top of the league. And so I feel like he's just getting looked over because of that, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I think so, for sure.
So, I don't know. But I've just found that I think there's so many teams now in college football, and everybody wants to focus on the SEC, ACC, which we will as well, by the way, in our conference previews at times. But I don't know. I just think a lot of things get overlooked, and which is why you have a lot of these preseason polls being wrong. Nobody had Army. I guess one person had Army winning the league last year.
Yeah.
And they were dead on. And everybody, including myself, laughed at that pick. And I was an idiot. So.
I mean, think of what was it last year? We were talking about it on Logan's show. How many teams were preseason ranked that ended up not ranked at the end of the year? It was a crazy amount.
There's always a decent amount.
Yeah, but it was like half. And now some of the teams just underperformed. Some of them should have never been ranked on state. But again, is like when they ranked state last year, was that media being lazy? Yes, I think it was.
Right. I think a lot of it does. It's just name recognition, brand recognition. Like, it doesn't matter how bad Florida, and I know Texas hasn't been good recently, but like Texas was preseason ranked all those years. They weren't any good just because they were Texas. So
yeah,
it's part of the flaw of the media of the sport. Speaking that, look, I know I'm not perfect either, just making that observation. All right, we got to get a break in. We'll come back. We will dive more into the American. We'll tell you about the other title contenders. We'll make our picks as well, talk about some of the games to watch, and a whole lot more. This is Hoist the Colors on a Tuesday.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
For over 51 years, Parker's Barbecue has brought families together with our award-winning whole hog barbecue and fried chicken. Tradition is important at Parker's Barbecue, and for 3 generations, the Parker's Way has stood the test of time. Whether you visit our dining rooms or drive-thrus, use our on-site catering, or even use our nationwide shipping, the hospitality, barbecue, fried chicken, homemade sides are still the same.
We are the Parker family. Come in and let our family show you. This is the Parker's Way.
Oh, hey, welcome back. You got here just in time. This is Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Go back in. It is Hoist the Colors. Philip cooking and producing. Steve and I go here. We are diving into the first of our mini conference previews for the FBS. We are starting close to home with the American Conference, and we're going to dive in, make some picks for each league, starting with the Almost said the AAC.
Oh, you're close. You caught yourself.
But I can't call it the AC.
Check swing.
So we're just going to call it the American, I guess. So I made sure to not take the barrel through the zone there for a strike. All right. John Moody says, I have an off-topic question that was asked me today. Does a team like BYU make any revenue from tickets they sell when they come here. John, I guess you're asking about their allotment. We were having this discussion during the break. We don't know. It's a good question. I would think the money just goes back to the team playing at home, but I'll try to get clarification on that with Ryan Robinson or John Gilbert. Robert Matthews says, has the Logan Zone started yet? He says, sorry, 8/21. So doesn't it come back?
Yes, we're going to start week 1 of college football, not week 0.
Okay,
we're going to do it on Thursdays every week that there's not a Thursday game. We're going to do it on Wednesdays when there is a Thursday game.
So the first show would be, I was texting with Hank, the first show would be Wednesday, August 27th, right? Because that would be week 1.
Yeah.
Because ECU plays on the 28th. So from my understanding, he says 8/21. My understanding is August 27th is the first show.
Maybe it is. Maybe they got posted. I don't know. They haven't told me.
When I texted Hank a couple days ago, now he is in Africa. Things may have changed. My understanding was 8/27, but I'll try to get clarification on that as well. But it will be on, like Philip said, the Thursdays ECU plays. We're going to have the Logan Zone on Wednesdays.
Yes.
So keep that in mind. We'll still have our normal pregame show. So that is changing from last year. All right, final stat from Johnny Stats. He says, final AAC. He may be making an error.
Well, you just wrote. You quoted him. You were just the guy reading the teleprompter.
It's still my error, though. It goes on me. It goes on me. Final American stat from Johnny Robertson. This season, 48 of the 56 American games will feature a team that played in a bowl game last year. What a stat. Johnny Stats.
There you go.
Never fails. All right, before we make some picks, a couple notes here. All right, new coaches in the league. You have Tim Albin at Charlotte, Casey Killer at Temple, Trey Lamb going to Tulsa. Also, Zach Kitley going to FAU. I've got to say it, I wrote this in my notes. I usually don't have notes for my show. I just kind of wing it, but this year I am writing some notes for these conference previews specifically, so I know what I'm talking about. Comparing it to the last hiring of coaching, the hiring cycle of coaches, like major upgrade here. A couple years ago, it was Biff Poggi, Trent Dilfer, and now you're actually hiring like proven coaches. Like Tim Albin won a ton at Ohio. He goes to Charlotte. Casey Killer has had success everywhere he's been, now at Temple. Trey Lamb, like under the radar move by Tulsa that I really like. He has been at a lot of programs that don't have many resources, and he has held his own, if not more. And then Zach Kitley, really good offensive mind going to FAU. So, like, I think those are 4 really good hires. I don't know how much they'll win this season, Philip, but I was surprised that Charlotte was able to get Tim Albin, honestly, and I think it's a major upgrade over Biff, despite him being ECU's daddy.
Yeah, I'm with you. I noticed that when I was doing my notes for the media days, because we do play a lot of the new coaches. Play FAU, Charlotte, Temple. Who was the other one?
FAU.
Charlotte.
Tulsa, Temple, Charlotte.
Oh, yeah. So we play all 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did notice that. And it was like everywhere these guys have been, they've won as head coaches. So it's big, but, it's probably what's going to happen. It's probably 2 of them are going to probably succeed and probably 2 of them won't, if I had to guess. And we won't know that right off the jump this year. But a lot of these guys have brought in a lot of transfers, especially that FAU team.
And I guess Blake Harrell would qualify as a new coach, even though he coached 6 games last year as well. All right, returning quarterbacks in the American I hit on earlier. Notable quarterbacks coming in. Caden Veltkamp comes to FAU from Western Kentucky, where Kitley used to be the quarterbacks coach in OC, so significant move there. He was at Texas Tech. Kitley was last year. He was actually the player of the year in Conference USA, so FAU with a big win in the portal there. Brendan Lewis from Nevada didn't play on a very good Wolfpack team, but he's a dynamic quarterback. He goes to Memphis. And then Tulane brought in like every quarterback transfer imaginable, ending with Jake Retzloff. They brought in 5. And Retzloff.
Is he the 5th or the 6th?
He is, I think, the 5th, because they brought in the former, I can't remember his name, but he had left the team. He got into some legal trouble. So they've had a ton. They brought in like the Iowa quarterback. They brought in a guy from a lower conference as well. So it looks like Retzloff will probably start there. So there's your quarterback update on the American. All right, let's make some picks. We'll have more discussion if we have time for it about the American as a whole. Last place team, Philip. There's some very worthy candidates here on paper. UAB was referencing the unofficial media poll as the last place team. Tulsa, Temple, Charlotte down there as well. Who you got finishing last?
49ers.
The 49ers. Think Coach Albin's going to coach the last place team. The Queen City?
Somebody's coaching a last place team. I don't know who the heck it's going to be, but I'm going with Charlotte. I don't think every other team who's down there near the bottom, I feel better about their quarterback than I do Charlotte.
So, yeah, Charlotte's quarterback's not looking good. I'm torn here between Tulsa and UAB. And I think I trust Trey Lamb more than Trent Dilfer.
Okay.
Now, I like Jalen Kitna. I think he's got upside, but there's also some boomer bust. UAB also, this is their conference schedule. At Navy, L. Army, L. At FAU. They're going to be dogs there. Memphis, L. At Rice, winnable game. North Texas, I don't know, at home. South Florida, they'll be dogs. And then at Tulsa to finish up.
They'll win 2 games, I think, in that. But you guys get a chance. I think it is on YouTube. Go back and watch what Trent did say about Jalen Kitna. And I do realize, like, he's a coach. He's got to hype up his team. But, Jalen Kitna's John Kitna's kid. And, he talks about the relationship that he has with John and how Jalen had to come in and earn the spot. He wasn't just going to give it to a guy because it was his friend's quarterback or his friend's son. And according to Trent Dilfert, Jalen Kitna is ahead at this point in his life of where Trent Dilfert was at that time. So he claims.
Are you ready to make UAB your dark horse?
No, I'm not. Okay. I think they exceed expectations. They are not my dark horse pick, especially with that schedule. I don't know. What's their out-of-conference schedule?
The out-of-conference schedule for the Blazers is Alabama State, Akron at home.
Oh, yeah. The Zips are the worst team in FBS football ever.
At Tennessee. At UConn.
I like Jim Mora, man. It might be a 4-8 year.
Yeah,
might be a 4-8 year. We'll see.
All right, our next category is best conference game. So you can go a lot of different directions here. Did you write one down?
I forgot to write it down, but I remember the dates. You give yours, and
okay.
I will remember when I go through the schedule real quick.
I've got 2 ones that stood out to me. My runner-up is Tulane at Memphis. That is a Friday, November 7th game. National TV. My best conference game is Thanksgiving, Thursday, November 27th, Navy at Memphis. I think this is going to be a great game. Final week of the regular season. Could be some conference title ramifications.
Oh, I'm going to go with the rematch of the conference championship game. I'm going to go Army and Tulane. This time it's at Tulane. I think Army by October 18th will have kind of figured out who their quarterback is. They'll have ironed some things out. And I feel like service academies can kind of fall off at the end of the year. They get a little banged up. And then they struggle when they have new at the beginning of the year, but they peak right in the darn middle of the season. This is in the middle of the season. I think they're going to want to go down there and prove they're still contenders. They're going to go down to Tulane and make that one a dogfight.
Dark horse title contender. Look, I mean, we could both go ECU here, and I think it'd be a fair pick. I do think ECU, if they could figure out enough defensively, could be a dark horse title contender. I just think the schedule's tough. I think they've got a lot to prove on that side of the ball. I'm going to go with the South Florida Bulls. They were the hyped-up team last year. They've still got good NIL presence. They've got good rev share. They still have some talent. Now, the thing that concerns the heck out of me with South Florida, this is how they start the season. Boise State, Thursday night at 5:30. At Florida, at Miami. They could be 0-3, and the wheels could be coming off. And after that, it gets much more manageable. They have South Carolina State, Charlotte at home, at North Texas, FAU. They do have to go to Memphis, and they do have to go to Navy, but I think the rest of their schedule is manageable. So I'm going to go South Florida if they can survive that early stretch, but that scares me. Phillip?
I like it. I do like it. I'm going to stay in the Sunshine State. I'm going to go with FAU. They brought in a lot of transfers, and the guys that didn't transfer in this year who are going to start are all upperclassmen, played a lot of college football. I like the quarterback. Was it Vellenkamp?
Yeah, Velkamp.
Velkamp, yeah.
Tall dude.
From Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky always seems to have one of the best group of 5 quarterbacks. Think back to the Bailey Zappi days, and I think there was somebody after him. And the fact there's a little familiarity there with the coach and the quarterback, yeah, not directly. They didn't play together, but he did recruit them to Western Kentucky. And I don't know, man. Just looking at that roster, it looks intriguing. There's something about it that's like, man, this could be the spooky team. And, ECU could be playing for that, dare we say, that'd be the spot for the second spot in the conference
If ECU
championship
FAU
game
is for the conference championship game.
Oh my
I'll be
goodness.
lit.
That's the
that'd
take
be
of the year. That sounds bad to say out loud. I couldn't even say it with a straight
nothing
face.
like a
But
post-Thanksgiving FAU ECU game to decide who's going to the AAC.
With-
The American Conference
there,
Championship.
dang it, that was 100% on you. But
Strike
yeah,
two.
with 5,000 people in the stands for that game.
Yeah, anything's possible. Kaysen Romelli's in the chat, by the way. He says Tulsa is his dark horse team. Good luck with that.
Dark horse to finish last.
Kaysen also says he's got Rice finishing last.
Okay.
Jones Bones says, LOL, I remember UTSA dropping like 5 straight balls last year. McCown was running for his life all game. It sounds like the travel squad might have some surprises this year based off the Blake Harrell presser. Yeah, we'll react more to that later in the week. And then Spencer Scott says, this is the year the Pirates win the American. Hungry roster, ready to compete.
Real quick, that UTSA dropping balls, that transfer receiver they got, I can't remember. He's come from like an FCS school. He's a stud. He ain't going to be dropping balls. He had like 11 touchdowns the last like 3 games of the season or something crazy last year.
I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in the American this year,
Yeah.
and UTSA will be a part of that. They, like ECU, have a ton of questions defensively. All right, conference most valuable player. So, like, you could go just your best player, your most exciting player, whatever you want to do, Philip, here. Who you got?
I'm going to go with the guy that I was going to put in this spot in the Big 12 about a month ago. And if he's going to come down from the Big 12 to the American, give me Jake Retzloff.
Jake Retzloff going from BYU to New Orleans, like we talked about yesterday, such a change. I'm going to go with Blake Horvath, Navy quarterback. I think the big key for him is staying healthy. He is a smaller guy, which worries me. But when that offense was clicking last year, it was fun to watch. And we saw when you have a guy who has experience in that offense, how big of a leap they can make as their career gets a little bit older. We saw it with Bryson Daly. I think Horvath is going to have a huge year for Navy and the midshipmen. So I'm going Blake Horvath. Championship game for the American Conference. Who you got?
I have Navy. Or no, sorry. Yes, Navy and Tulane.
I also have Navy and Tulane. So just a quick hitter here. I do like Navy's schedule a lot. They, at North Texas, a little tricky, and they do finish with South Florida at home and then go to Memphis right after Notre Dame. So the end of their schedule is difficult, but UAB at Tulsa, Rice at Temple, they're going to start the league 4-0. And I think, if not, roll from there. So I like their schedule. Tulane's a little bit tricky, but I think they're going to have the best defense in the league, and therefore I think they're going to make the championship. Who's your conference champion?
The team with the best defense in the league. Defense wins championships. And they're going to have the best quarterback in the league. Sounds like a recipe for victory. Give me the green wave.
Solid pick. I'm going to go with the midshipmen. Back-to-back Service Academy champions in the American Conference.
It's very patriotic of you. Proud.
I mean, you can't change your league to literally American and not have Navy or Army once again win the title. So
There you go.
I'm going to say it's partly rigged, but also Navy's a really good football team. So I'm going to go with Navy. I do think, that some of the stuff is so volatile. Tulane's quarterback situation, I do think getting Retzloff was a big deal, but I feel like Tulane's almost getting too much hype, and it wouldn't surprise me if they have a down year. But I'm going to go with Navy over Tulane in the championship. A few more comments here if we get our final break in. Logan says Keaton Hauser for conference MVP. I thought about it, and I do think he can have huge years. And then Jones Bones says the boys taking the trip down to the Riverwalk in San Antonio, always a good time, might be able to catch Wemby. My plan is to go. As long as ECU's having a good year, I will be in San Antonio walking down Riverwalk. All right, there's our conference predictions. We'll have final thoughts to wrap up the show after this.
Turn your car into cash at Greenville Toyota. Cash in your trade-in today. Then get new Camry just $249 a month. Or drive a new RAV4, $319 a month. At Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's cut in color. And let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors, with locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Cash in your trade-in at Greenville Toyota. Get a huge offer when you trade. Then save big on a brand new Corolla, just $229 a month. Or get a Tacoma, just $319 a month. Secure your Toyota now at Greenville
Remember,
Toyota.
get the podcast of the show on the IBX Media app or where you get your podcasts.
Got it. You don't have to tell me twice. I remember it exactly.
Stephen Igo and Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Final segment here on Hoist the Colors. It is our American Conference preview, and we have made our picks. We did not pick ECU to win the American Conference Championship, but we feel like the Pirates have a shot, and you can go back and listen to any of the show you missed on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So final thoughts here on the American. We do need to keep an eye on the Tulsa Golden Hurricane, Philip Pilkington, because our guy, Larry, I believe Larry Lewis was his name, from from the Tulsa rival site, joined us, and he's pretty confident in this team. Case Van Ramaley has them as the dark horse title contender. Also, Trey Lamb, their coach, said it would not surprise him if we won a lot of games this year. And me and you put a bet in on the over win total, 2.5. We are on the over. So we need the Golden Hurricane to come through this season.
We do. Thanks. Shout out to DraftKings, free plug, for giving us the lines this early. It was hard to find the lines. I remember we went through like a couple sports books and like they had all the big schools, but you know they didn't believe in the American.
Just as a refresher, they start with Abilene Christian. It should be a dub.
Yeah.
If not, we should both
yeah.
Go ahead and forfeit
cash
the
out
money.
while we can. Yeah.
New Mexico State on the road. Huge game. Week 2.
We know who our guy Doug Martin's gonna be pulling for. His Aggies.
Navy, week 3, at Oklahoma State, Tulane, at Memphis, ECU, Temple, at FAU, Oregon State at home, random matchup there, at Army, and UAB to finish it out. So I see about 3, 4, 5 maybe potential wins there. It can happen, but I don't know. I mean, if I honestly, if I'm a little surprised at Temple being dead last in the odds, just because like you look at KC Killer and look at his Temple, and I know that they've really struggled, but you look at KC Killer's background as a head coach, man, the guy has a career record of 271 and 112, and at Sam Houston State had some pretty massive success there, both at the FCS and then the FBS level. He's from that area of the country, so I feel like Temple is a little bit of a sleeper, but I would not pick them to win. I'm also not taking any more win totals, but I don't know. Like, I mean, if you could, no offense to Tulsa, Rice, Temple, but I feel like for this year only, if you could just take the top 8 teams in the league, Tulane, Navy, UTSA, Memphis, Army, South Florida, North Texas, ECU, I feel like this could be a pretty fun league.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of continuity within the rosters of those teams where it seems like, yeah, there are some teams that are probably a little better offensively than defensively, but I don't feel like there's a lot of teams where it's like they're really, really good on one side of the ball and really, really bad on the other. And yeah, it's probably going to be some high-scoring games when those 8 do battle, but it's really not a bad league. And, you know, I know some people are going, well, you can say that about any league. No, I think out of even better than the Mountain West, I would take our 8th team over probably the 8th team in the Mountain West. I mean, it's solid. You got good quarterback play. You got some good coaches. It's just, yeah, just the kind of the bums, for lack of a better term, of the conference kind of bring everything else down.
ECU has to beat Charlotte this year.
Yeah.
Pirates have got to take care of business in that game, especially with a new regime there. So there's our American Conference preview. Enjoyed this, and we'll dive more into our other conferences in the coming days. I believe we're going to try to aim for the SEC on Thursdays, the ACC when Bobby Harvard returns on Friday, and then dive more into the leagues next week. We'll do all the Group of 5 conferences as well. Kim McNeil, ECU women's basketball coach, she will be in studio tomorrow. We'll also have the latest on ECU football preseason camp and more. So we'll see you then. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.